Well, greetings, Sigma race fans. We come at you here with the New York Street Circuit and the Sigma ARCA competition here today. 36 laps. It's going to be, I believe, at least one pit stop in the race. We have limited the fuel that the teams can use, so we'll see what happens. They're more than likely going to have to make at least one pit stop in this 36 lap race. The New York Street Circuit Road Rage, 36 laps for 64 miles. And on the front row, you've got recent winner in the series, Snake Plissken, alongside Tim Morse there, followed by Philip Purpura and Mason Alexander III, T.G. Castlenut and Stephen Miller, Santi Messi and Tasha Wright, Keen Clutchoke and Timothy Buchanan, Craig Bush, Cooper Landry, Juliana Bold, alongside Cassie Perkins, Aiden Sparks and Finley Herwig, Chris Jeremio and Ralph Oberstadt, Shy Turtle and Astro Atlas, Jeremiah Pate, alongside Kyle Chestnut, Campbell Marsh and Billy Lovejoy, Kaylee Sheets and Carlos Eduardo, Pedro Sales and Chase Kovacic, Borat Sagdiev and Ryan White, Sebastian Galloway Jr. and Brandon Butler II, Sarah Robert and Reese Landry, Tyler McCarroll and Jonah Burridge, Gabe McDuffie and Ace Vaden, Dylan Smith, Jamie McMurphy, and Adam Jefferson. Something special that we're doing here today, we're going to have the highlight on a special key driver, and it's going to be randomly picked each week. This week's, it's going to be Timothy Buchanan, who's starting about top 10 here today. So somewhere along the line, we're going to hop to his car and give you a play-by-play later in the race here. So here we go. 36 laps here today. What we've seen so far from the New York Street Circuit has been a follow the leader affair most of the time. So hopefully, with the ARCA series being a little bit more unhinged in the racing category, we might see some caution-worthy wrecks here today, but maybe not. We'll just have to wait and see. Green flag waves and Plissken goes roaring down the front stretch here into turn one. His two comrades behind him, the 52 of Purpura and the 60 of Morse, having a good run, qualifying up front here. But here we have T.G. Castlenut moving around Morse for third. This could be a big move to get up into the top three early. Oh, Castlenut goes wide there. But it looks like he's going to secure third place for now, with Purpura the next on his target board. As we've got the Outlaw leading the race, Snake Plissken. He's already gotten one win in the last two races. The second race in his career wasn't as tremendous as the first one. He had a bad wreck at the Chili Bowl. But bouncing back here with a pole position and leading some laps at the New York Street Circuit. Going to finish the first lap in the lead here. Second, Philip Purpura. Third, T.G. Castlenut. Fourth, Tim Morse. And fifth, Santi Messi. A lot of these drivers are definitely happy to see a full field ARCA race again after all those heat races really knocked some people out of championship contention. 42 cars in the field here today means that no one really had to worry about going home. We do still have a few ARCA drivers on the reserves. Some of them just didn't sign up to come out here to New York for this event. And so, yeah, nope, no heat races. Just a full field of 42 cars fighting for points here today. And this 53 of Mason Alexander III having a good run in one of his first real starts of his Sigma ARCA career. So as of right now, Snake Plissken with the fastest lap, and behind him they're running about half a second or even larger further back. So half a second to a full second just in the top three separating in lap times. When you're putting down blistering laps like that, it's going to be hard to keep track of the 24 out front for his competitors. And we're going to continue to keep an eye on those deltas because those are going to be the huge topic point in the race here today. If the one pit stop that I'm projecting these guys are going to have to go, it'll at least give some people an opportunity to undercut or overcut the leader. Yet again, even when mandated to limit fuel for these ARCA cars, comes down to the driver at the end of the day and how well they might be at saving fuel. While up front here putting down blistering laps, I don't anticipate Plissken to actually be saving a whole lot of fuel here. Purpura nor TG Castlenut really in the saving mode. Tim Morse, on the other hand, the way that he let the 63 by out of the gate almost leads you to suggest that he might be saving fuel right now. And just about everyone behind him on much slower laps, they could be in for a fuel mileage race here. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the race, we're going to pick a driver each week to do a special camera on each race. So Timothy Buchanan is the racer this week, and we're going to go along with the drone cam to get a different perspective of the race course. Very scenic here at the New York Street Circuit. Getting to use the drone cam here really gives you a perspective on how this racetrack, this race course built in the streets of New York is just impressive. Look at the towering skyscraper buildings. Look at Ralph Oberstadt in the picture as well. This is a battle for 13th on track as Timothy Buchanan holds on to it at the moment. It's hard to shut down a whole city for a race. It's so hard for a city the size of New York especially. But the New York City has welcomed Sigma Racing with the fullest extent here, and we're getting the best venue for the racing possible. Meanwhile, the running order has not changed a whole lot through the field here. Looks like Tim Morse has kind of closed back up on TG Castlenut. But it's all Snake Plissken at the front, driving away with it so far. Plissken actually turned the fastest lap somewhere in the last couple laps, and we'll see how long he goes before needing to make a pit stop here today. Using our Sigma analysis, we'll see how far it thinks they'll go. Suggests 23 laps, so it might even be a two-stopper for some folks if they decide to go early. 23 is, yeah, it's right down the middle for the most part. We'll see. Sigma officials knew that if we gave them the full tank here, it would have been a pretty much no run, no pit stop run here. And to spice it up a little bit, we wanted to get those pit stops factored into the race. So you can think of it as more of like a mandatory pit stop that everyone's going to have to pit, but it was kind of mandated or manipulated by the fuel tank size for these ARCA cars at the street circuit in particular. So Snake Plissken might have the fastest car here. We'll see how strategies unfold closer to halfway. It's impressive out of the gate. Purpura, Plissken, I don't know where they came from, but on a tear. TG Castlenut in third. But the big topic at hand is the fact that none of our points leaders are really in the mix here today. A driver that should be in the mix, being a road course ringer as he is, your points leader, Finley Herwig. I want to say he's the points leader. I can't remember if it's him or Burridge, but at the moment, regardless, Burridge only had about a 5-point lead over Finley, and Finley is outrunning Burridge by a long shot here. 12 spots ahead of Burridge, who's running in 30th. So if Finley didn't have the points lead, he surely will where they're running on track at the moment. But that's, the crazy part is that look at even Ralph Oberstadt, who needs a good run here to get back into that championship battle. Let me go ahead and pull up the points so I can give you guys a more accurate analysis here. Yeah, so Burridge has a 5-point lead over Finley. That was what I thought. Ryan White is 36 points back, and if we see where Ryan White's running right now, he's in 22nd. Santi Messi, 4th in the points. He's all the way up at the front half of the field, running in 5th. 44 points back of Burridge. If Santi Messi has a good run and Burridge continues to have a bad run, that points battle is going to tighten up significantly in our top 5. Heen Clutchoke is 58 points back, and Ralph Oberstadt 66 points back. Campbell Marsh in the 99 is 72 points out of it. And if we look for Campbell Marsh, the 99, he's in 31st at the moment, right behind your technical points leader, Jonah Burridge. Your actual points leader at the moment is Finley Herwig on the running order. So and especially with what's left for the season. You've got Las Vegas, you've got Langley. Langley's a nice, neat little short track in Virginia. We're going to go heat racing there again, of course, to set the main field. Then we've got Kansas and Texas. Those are going to be two of your bigger tracks that these ARCA drivers race at. Going to be interesting to see who comes out on top with those races. Back to another short track in Meridian. Heat races of 52 laps, and the main event, 104 lap distance. With Pocono being the penultimate race, which would really test a lot of these drivers' skills. And then we close out the season on a super speedway, which is just kind of wild. Definitely unique, as we're going to go to Mars Super Speedway. It really drives home the interglobal part of the Sigma brand. And for those of you that don't know what Sigma stands for, we are the Speedster Interglobal Motorsports Association. So we already race at international tracks, and so the global part was where I decided we need to have a race on the moon. The Mars Speedway is going to host races every season now. Next year with this ARCA series, it's going to be more of a exhibition race. This year, all the marbles are on the table for the championship, which is kind of a rough deal, because why would you want your championship to be settled at a super speedway? So the way the scheduling for next year is setting up is we're going to have the Sigma ARCA Alpha Division and the Sigma ARCA Delta Division. It's technically an East and a West division because we've grown as big as we are, and we needed to spread it back out again. And so you're going to have an East and a West, and at the end of the season, the 20 best from the East, Alpha, the 20 of the best from the West, or in other words, Delta, are going to have an exhibition match at Mars Speedway for kind of like a little cup inside the ARCA season, or at the end of the season, ARCA Cup. You'll have your Alpha champion, you'll have your Delta champion, and then you'll have your Sigma Alpha Delta one race crown it. You know, that'll be a kind of a gimmicky title that you can give someone. It'll be, you know, a title nonetheless that you beat the best of the best at a super speedway between the Alta Delta division. And that's something that the driver can carry with them up the ladder. So ARCA is going to get interesting next year. We do keep getting newcomers joining pretty frequently, and so even though we're at 42 cars on field right now, I've already had to knock out about 10 other drivers that are inactive on the server. Well, once we bring the Alpha Delta segment into it next year, those 10 can go back to racing, and we'll have probably about 2 full fields of 30 almost. Might be a cap. We're looking at that. Might be a cap on it, amount of drivers allowed to run the Alpha and the Delta division. And some of these drivers we're looking at here tonight are likely going to be there next year. Some of these drivers might be moving up the ladder to Bridge to Cup. But for example, Snake Plissken is just joining the season at the end of the year here. He is going to be part of the ARCA championship for next year, looking to maybe secure a title. Purpura and even TG Castlenut's been doing good this season. Had kind of a rough patch. Don't want to move up the ladder too quickly. I would predict TG Castlenut's going to stick around here another year, maybe even a half year for next season, and see how things go. Bridge to Cup's going to be interesting as we look towards the silly season and who may be moving into the Bridge to Cup side of things. This might be the first year where Bridge to Cup actually has some stagnant drivers, meaning not everyone's going to be moving up to Cup right away. Cup has kind of hit a little bit of a stone wall, and so the best of the best have made it there so far. And with all the young talent, it's not like we're getting any retirements at the end of 2025. There are a couple drivers, a couple veterans that may be lobbying the decision to retire, and that could open up a spot or two Bridge to Cup drivers that have not won the Bridge to Cup championship to move up to Cup. I know there's a lot of silly season rumors. One of the silly season rumors had been Willow Blake all season so far. Well, now, all of a sudden, Willow Blake up and leaves the Sigma Racing circuit. That totally put the silly season into a bit of a tailspin. And so now you're looking at some interesting seats that opened up for Courting Brothers Motorsports. And we'll just have to wait and see what deals get signed, ink, once the ink dries on paper for some of these teams and drivers. So far in the race here today, 13 laps in, 23 laps to go. Snake Plissken has led every lap so far. Top 5 have not really changed the running order yet. Your top 10 is relatively unchanged as well. Our Sigma featured driver still running in 13th. You got Timothy Buchanan there with Ralph Oberstadt behind him. Kyle Chestnut, Astro Atlas, Tasha Wright, Finley Herwig, Juliana Bowles, Jeremiah Pate, Billy Lovejoy, Ryan White, Chris Jeremio, Carlos Eduardo, Brandon Butler II, Pedro Sales, Chase Kovacic, Shy Turtle, Ace Vaden, Jonah Burridge, Campbell Marsh, Borat Sagdiev, Tyler McCarroll, Sarah Robert, Kaylee Sheets, Dylan Smith, Reese Landry, Sebastian Galloway Jr., Gabe McDuffie, Jamie McMurphy, Adam Jefferson, and we do have a retirement, maybe? Oh, no, we only have 41 cars here. My bad. Not a full 42-car field, unfortunately. First taker down pit road, it's Snake Plissken on lap 14. So we already saw that 23 laps is the distance. He's cutting it really close here on fuel mileage, figuring he can go all the way on the final 22-lap stint here. A few other takers, you got Santi Messi. That looks like it, so just those two. New leader in the interim, it's Philip Purpura over TG Castlenet and Tim Morse. And so with pit stops upon the horizon here, we're going to follow along with our Sigma featured driver from the drone cam. Well, that's a tough break there. We just saw stalled on the track. It was the 63 TG Castlenet. I wonder if he ran it out of fuel. No, he had a flat tire. They had to call the tow truck, and Sigma officials threw the yellow there to help recover the stalled 63 car. Castlenut was running third, rather fourth, when that flat tire happened. And this is going to really change up how everything's been running so far. Some folks have stayed out this long and are going to have to pit on the caution here. Leading, it's Mason Alexander the third, followed by Aiden Sparks. Now Tasha Wright in third, Juliana Bolds. I'm gonna butcher that all the time. I'm just gonna call Bold with fourth place. White with fifth, Jeremio sixth, Eduardo seventh, Brandon Butler eighth, Kovacic and Shy Turtle rounding out your top 10. Snake Plissken in 12th would be your leader if everyone that has to pit still pits in front of him. So flat tire for Castlenut. He's still on pit road as they're trying to get things sorted here. It's definitely impressive how we have so many newcomers running up front here. New to the series, Aiden Sparks and Alexander the third. Running top two with Tasha right behind them. Almost wondering if some of them are really running on fumes here as they need to pit under this caution. And there you have it, Plissken back out to the lead. But the great problem here is that everyone's coming down pit road right now to get fresh tires, full tank of fuel. How is that going to pan out once they get back on the field here? Looks like a lot of the others that have stayed out here that did take the pit stop before the caution fell. It's going to be a lot of ground for them to gain, but with fresh tires, you never know. Tough break for TG Castlenut. A great run here today. Had a top 5 car. Flat tire is going to force him to fall a lap or two down here. Alrighty, doubled up for the restart here. It's going to be Plissken and Purpura. Bit of a hiccup there as Pliskin got stalled up. Green flag waves, and Pliskin is got troubles or something as they're 4 wide behind him on the restart here. Papura is going to get the lead away from Pliskin. Everything's getting a little wild here. I don't know if Pliskin had a problem with the car there. No illegal moves were made. No black flags on any of the drivers there, so everything remains clean. But man, Pliskin is dropping, losing spots. I don't know if the setup went away from him or what, as Santi Messi moves up to second here. Also moving up into the top 10, you've got Ralph Oberstadt actually nearly in the top 5, from 12th to maybe 6th there very quickly. For TG Castlenut, his only chance here today is if we get another caution during the race here to get a lap back. And then he'd have to race all the way through the field, which would be a tremendous feat to pull off. Ralph Oberstadt thinking about maybe getting up into the top 5 here, flirting with the 60 for position. Purpura out front leading right now. Santi Messi in second, and there you got Philip Purpura in the Interscope Racing. The On Guys Interscope Racing Machine, number 52. A nice tribute to the IndyCar, the Hawaiian race car driver, Danny On Guys. I like that car. Very, very cool nod. You don't really have very many race car drivers from Hawaii, so Danny On Guys was definitely an OG racing IndyCar back in the day, and that car paying tribute to On Guys and his career. Purpura, it's only, I want to say, his second start, maybe first official start. I don't know if he made it through the heat races at the Chili Bowl. And so leading laps early in his career here. He kind of stole it away from Snake Pliskin on the restart. Pliskin was either asleep at the wheel or had a terrible, no good set of tires on that number 24. Craig Bush, Tim Morse, Ralph Oberstadt, Clutchoke, Perkins, and Buchanan. Well, we're down to 14 laps to go here today. Seems like the one common occurrence here that we've seen through the races that we've already hosted here, flat tires. Snake Plissken actually had a flat tire in the USA Trucks East race here. TG Castlenet shared that misfortune here today, getting a flat tire running out front, just as Plissken was running 20th or so in the truck race. Doesn't discriminate, doesn't matter where you're running. Sometimes that flat tire is going to find you. And with that caution, kind of a quick on the trigger caution throw. Oh, Santi Messi having to pit here with 14 laps to go. That will bring Snake Plissken back up to second as Purpura still leads. And everyone else moves up a spot. That brings Ralph Oberstadt into the top 5. I don't know if Santi Messi maybe had a failure there. That seems awfully rough to go pitting it. 13 laps left to go. Well, now I honestly have no idea as the ARCA cars are having to pit yet again here with 13 to go. So even though projections are 23 laps, it seems like 13 may be the more accurate lap count, 10 to 12. And so everyone that's pitting again here, I'm assuming your leaders might be having to pit again as well. We'll just have to wait and see, but it's always very unpredictable when we go road course racing. I can only imagine the next pit stop should hopefully be the last for most people involved, but you never know. Purpura has really stretched out the lead here, way out front. Team's probably going to be on point here to try and get the best pit stop they can get to try and preserve as much of this lead that they've got. And so that is, too, the factor where we were saying some folks are going to be able to stay out longer because they were able to pit under caution. Where they pitted under caution might force some of these other drivers to reevaluate their strategies. There are the 53s pitting. 90 in the 43. 77, 42, 51, 02, 26, 19, 95, 15. All the people that should be able to go the distance are pitting early here. So now I honestly have no idea, folks. That's why I don't get paid the big bucks to go out there and crew chief these cars, because I have no idea what some of these teams are thinking. Lap times have degraded pretty rough here for Purpura, down to a 128.6, where his fastest lap was a 126.6. So 2 seconds off the pace. That is significant. And folks that are on the undercut right now, they're going to be able to gain 2 seconds on him whenever they come back out with fresh tires. So, Purpura, even though he's staying out as long as he can here, might be losing some momentum to those that pitted. Just have to wait and see. Purpura stays out again, as does Pliskin. Bush, Morse, Clutchoke, Buchanan, Atlas, Landry, Finley Herwig in 9th with Pedro Sales in 10th. But even then, Purpura's lap time is now a 129.3. So with 10 laps to go, he's running nearly 3 seconds off the pace from his fast laps. The good thing is, it's just 10 laps to go. Doesn't have to worry too much if he can somehow preserve the fuel and make it to the finish. Well, just like that, Pliskin having to pit again too, so I fully expect the 52 of Purpura to pit again, and then once he pits, there's no telling how this is going to play out. This is what you got to love about road course racing. There's always a strategy that's going to unfold. The unsuspecting viewer might not know exactly those strategies that are at play. We can start to analyze and figure out what could be the calls being made from the pit box. But ultimately, these teams are very crafty when it comes to their strategy calls. And the fact that we had pretty much 2 dominant leaders so far in Snake Pliskin and now Philip Purpura. I don't know what we have left in the last 9 laps that could really shake things up here. Purpura, Morse, quite a few takers on pit road here. Let's hop in the chase cam to see. That's TG Castlenut, who should be getting his lap back here. There goes Santi Messi for what should be the lead. Ralph Oberstadt up to 3rd here. A lot has changed here with 8 laps to go, folks. This is why you don't count your winners before the last lap. So Santi Messi, your new leader here, with 7 laps to go. Wait, the number 2, who stayed that long out? Number 2 must have fallen back in line. Billy Lovejoy led a lap even before pitting there somehow. I'm not sure how he got... Oh, right there. He was coming down pit road with the lead. And he's going to be dropped outside the top 25, it looks like. So 6 laps to go, and your running order has definitely changed. Santi Messi leads, also trying to get that points lead a little bit closer to him. Second, it is Philip Purpura. Third, Ralph Oberstadt, also trying to climb up the ladder and fight for this championship title. Snake Plissken in 4th, Cassie Perkins, Mason Alexander III, Craig Bush, Ryan White, Tim Morse, and Kyle Chestnut in the top 10 here. Your featured driver, Timothy Buchanan, running in 11th. Heen Clutchoke, Cooper Landry, Brandon Butler the 2nd, Astro Atlas with a top 15 run, Tasha Wright, Chase Kovacic, Aiden Sparks, Pedro Sales, and Finley Herwig. Herwig likely to leave with the points lead here today, but not by much, as a 20th is not a great points day that he's used to. Reese Landry, Juliana Bold, Dylan Smith, Jeremiah Pate, Chris Jeremio, Jonah Burridge, Billy Lovejoy in 27th, Ace Vaden, Stephen Miller, after having a top 10 run all day, falls back to 30th. Ouch. Tyler McCarroll, Sebastian Galloway Jr., Kaylee Sheets, Carlos Eduardo, Jamie McMurphy, Shy Turtle, Borat Sagdiev, Campbell Marsh, Gabe McDuffie, Adam Jefferson, with TG Castlenut and Sarah Robert at the back of the field there. So now is where things get interesting. Santi Messi with older tires at risk of losing the lead here to Philip Purpura. We'll keep the delta up here so everyone can see the deficit, and I don't know if there's going to be much of an advantage here for the 5, as that 52 is closing the gap quickly. Wow, right on his back bumper, almost makes contact with the 5 car. Purpura having to get a little bit creative on trying to execute the pass here. And he does it. Ooh, and then he kisses the wall too. Drives way around the number 5, putting on one hell of a run there. Santi Messi held the lead for a while there, but it looks like Purpura is now going to start to drive away with the fresher Hoosier tires. Hoosiers are in our Cup Series. ARCA's got Goodyears, my bad, misrepresented there. Fresh Goodyears have put him ahead by a full 0.88 seconds, so nearly a full second lead right out from the pass. Santi Messi put on a valiant effort there, but 4 laps short of actually being able to do anything with it. Snake Plissken gets around Ralph Oberstadt, so we had a pair of passers going down on that last lap. As Plissken moves up to 3rd, Oberstadt falls back to 4th. It was down that front stretch too, as you see Snake Plissken has one hell of a charge here. Going into turn 1, has a bit of an advantage and then passes him on the outside of turn 2. Very, very similar to the lead swap at the front. So now Ralph simply just trying to hold on for a top 5 here, as it looks like Snake Plissken may be trying to wake up here and get back up to the front. Runs a 127.557, and he's going to eat the number 5 for lunch here. Powered by the Skittles car. Our leaders already drove away to a 3.5 second lead on Santi Messi. And Messi kind of holding up Pliskin here. It looked like Pliskin had the momentum, but the 5 is kind of blocking his line, running left and right. Whoa, he gets wide on the exit of that turn there. Snake definitely pushing the envelope to try and get around the number 5. And if he's able to get by the number 5, that might open the door for Ralph Oberstadt to even get by the 5 as well. He can get back on a podium run here. 5 seems to be holding his own though. Wow, that dropped Snake Pliskin down to a 1 minute 30-second lap. That's a slow lap by your top drivers. Per out there on a Sunday cruise, basically. Ralph Oberstadt's piloting the Coddle chassis. Only short tracks Toyota. They got a fresh reset on the paint scheme there for the remainder of the season. It seems to be helping a little bit as having a really good run here on the street circuit. He's closing the gap on Messi here pretty strong. We'll see if he can get back to 3rd for a podium. And that'll be huge in the points department. Meanwhile, Pliskin checking out on the 5. But it's all Philip Purpura at the front of the field. Lap 35 of 36. We just got a handful of laps left to go. Moving up to 5th, it's Tim Morse on Cassie Perkins there. She falls back to 6th. Mason Alexander the 3rd. Craig Bush, Ryan White, and Timothy Buchanan with a top 10 run. Great run for our featured driver here today. Astro Atlas makes up another spot. She's running in 14th now. Cal Chestnut goes from 12th back to 15th. That's a hard drop there. Actually 14th, as that means Astro Atlas is actually running in 13th, a couple spots gained for her. Tasha Wright, Chase Kovacic, Aiden Sparks, Pedro Sales, Reese Landry, Finley Herwig in 21st. Jonah Burridge in 23rd. The points lead could very well end up being tied here after they leave the street circuit. And maybe Jonah Burridge could still leave with a very small margin in his favor if he's able to get around this 23 car. It might only be about a 2-point lead for Jonah Burridge, but it'd still be a lead as Finley Herwig struggling a little bit to get this race finished. White flag waving, one more lap to go for everyone. No one's got anything for Philip Purpura as he's out front, steadily closing the race down here today. Pliskin has a 7.27 second gap that he ain't gonna close unless Purpura has some form of mechanical issue. As he's finishing up the last half of this track, Purpura might be able to secure his first career win early in his career. Coming down the front stretch, checkered flag waving, it is Philip Purpura with the win here, New York Street Circuit. Coming home in a somewhat distant second, it is Snake Plissken. Third place, Tim Morse. Wow, Morse blows by a couple other drivers to get a podium here. And that even sends Ralph Oberstadt back to fifth. Perkins, Alexander III, Craig Busch, Buchanan comes up for a ninth. As Ryan White falls back to 10th, you're really starting to see all the drivers fall backwards as the fuel mileage and the tires really start to kick them in the butt. Finley gets up to 19th. Jonah Burge 21st. So the points lead should swap hands back to Finley Herwig, as this championship is still very much wide open. Tough break for TG Castleton. If he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. Seems like it's been a rough patch the last couple months here for the 63 team. But they keep showing up and trying to erase the last race's mistakes. Or rather, misfortunes. It's not really on him, not the mistakes that he's made, but rather the misfortune that falls upon the team. So Purpura, Pliskin, Morse podium here today at the New York Street Circuit. Impressive that they just barely joined the circuit and they're out front leading and dominating. Purpura with his first career win joins Pliskin as an elite group to get their first career wins here this year. So we only have one more race until the July break kicks in. That'll be Las Vegas with the Sigma ARCA series. And then the month of July, we pretty much take off. So gives me a chance to recover, to recuperate, and get staged for the final push at the end of the season here. Mad props to Philip Purpura on getting the win here today. It's not easy to win these ARCA races, and he had to do it with strategy, and he prevailed over Snake Plissken here today. No, it's a little different. Usually these ARCA races have been live broadcasts lately, but we went back a little bit on putting it to a recording. These road courses kept crashing on me, so I figured the best way to do it was to record this one, and well, there you go, folks. Points will get tallied up here soon and posted. Congratulations to Philip Purpura, and more than likely Finley Herwig on getting that points lead back, or perhaps tied with Jonah Burridge. Top 5 from Ralph Oberstadt as well, and a top 10 out of our featured driver, the 34 of Timothy Buchanan. So going forward, we'll try to do a featured driver each week, and yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed the stream. Stay tuned for some cup racing action this week. And with that, I will bid you farewell, folks. Have a great week, wherever we're at in the week. And until next time, this is Jakester signing out.